Okay. So can you spell your name for me?
Jessica.
Okay, perfect. And would you mind giving me your year of birth?
1974.
And so because of this aspect, I need to go first to your mother. Your mother's birth year?
Oh boy. I forget, sorry.
Okay. If it comes to you, it would be really interesting because I believe that you've walked in a different life with your mother.
Okay.
And that there's no doubt that if you look at her energy, that she would have a lot of influence on you. And part of it is because the fact that we are inside of our mothers for 9 months, that's a long time. And so it would be interesting to know her dates.
I need my mom's birth year.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and your month?
July 07.
And your day?
20.
Wow. Yeah, highly intuitive, very creative. I mean, I call the energy the muse. And so for you, creativity is a very important thing, but you're also a mentor and you're a teacher. So what that means is that you get a great deal of joy out of uplifting and supporting and mentoring other people. And you're a wonderful teacher and you're highly intuitive. And for you, there is no doubt in my mind that in a past life that you actually lost your mother at a very early age. And so this would have an absolute impact. And that's why I believe in this life, that you have come to this life with a soul contract with the mother. So having this loss in a past life, do you have children?
Yes.
And do you understand that your children have a huge influence in your life?
Yes.
And that for one in particular, it feels that you had great concern for this child.
Yes.
And can you give me the child's name?
Max.
And his birth year?
2000.
And his month?
July.
And his day?
11.
Wow, you understand your connection with this child is old.
Yeah.
Very old. And I mean, and you understand that he's a bit like he's ahead of his time, that he struggled with fitting in.
A little bit. No, not really with him.
This would be like, as a child, he would absorb all of the energy in the home. And so he would be an old soul. So with his, with the kids that he grew up with, he would struggle, like really feeling where to connect.
Okay, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And he pulls his emotion back inside of his body.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't express his emotion a lot.
No, he doesn't.
And that makes you nervous.
A little bit.
Like, what you mean a little bit?
Well, he's very social now. So I guess I've just protected him when he was a child, but he's definitely come a long way. So
yeah. And so, like, just so you know that you share, he is 2, so you have a past life connection with him, and there's no doubt it just feels like you have a bit of a fear grip on him. So how old was he when you were concerned about him?
Right from birth.
Okay. So just so you know, like, one thing I definitely would do, and this was like screaming at me right off the hop, and you can appreciate, here you have a child that comes into this life and you have concern about him. So you'd have a bit of a grip on him, which is understandable. And so one thing I definitely would do is, and there's no doubt, I'm just going to see what vibration he's in this year. He's trying to take a step. So he's definitely more empowered this year. Last year, he would have planted a seed. So one thing I definitely would do is, there is a fear grid associated with your son, and it feels like it's coming from your heart center, and this would be old. So there's no doubt in a past life that you possibly could have lost a child. And so your soul had memory at the time that Max was born. For me, it's the year 2000 right there. 2 for me is all about past life. I'm just going to see what was going on with you in the year 2000. Yeah, you want to know something? I got to be honest with you. In a past life, I believe you lost Max.
Oh, wow.
That's what I truly believe. There's no doubt in my mind. And so in this lifetime, it would help you to understand why you just had this, this grip on him. So one thing I definitely would do is, if you can imagine, and it's all innocent, but because of that grip, it's something that would just never leave you. And so it's imagining just allowing yourself to release that grip on your son. And I mean, I guarantee when you were concerned about him, like, it would have been like over the top concern, not just a little bit, but like way out there. Like, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Yes. And so just so you know, I just think it's really great that, but your soul would have memory of a loss concerned with your son, because as soon as I tapped into your field, that's what you showed me. So it's, and there's no doubt that he is doing better. He's in an empowered year this year. So that means that you get to withdraw that energy. You don't have to worry about him anymore, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, yes, it does.
Okay. I'm just going to be looking.
My mom's birth year, if you still want that, I have it.
Wow, do you want to know something before we do anything? Like, you walk in the same energy as your son Max.
Okay.
So just so you know, there is no doubt in my mind, like no doubt, that you shared a past life connection with your son, and that in the past life that he, in fact, that he did not make it. And so coming into this life at this time, there's no doubt there was a bit of a fight, but it's like you were like a tower. I mean, there was no way in this world, and there's no doubt in my mind that during that time, like, you have never prayed more in your life. And that's what I believe he brought to you in this lifetime, was restored your faith. And so when the moment you knew something was wrong, like, you just went into a tight grip and you just prayed. And so I believe Max has come into your life from a past life to restore your spiritual balance. Like, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Like, don't you think that's beautiful? It almost makes me teary, like, honestly. And so if you look at the year,
I have a lump in my throat, that's for sure.
Oh, it's like in 2020, you were in an emperor year, and 2020, so is your son. So you mirror each other. So, and does it, like, there's no doubt in my mind how that would translate. Do you have other children?
Yes.
So they would know that you just have this soul connection with your son, but, and they would feel the difference of that. So that's what I love so much about numerology. Like, I've got a logical mind. I want to prove. So now you can say to your other kids, look, I talked to this wacko numerologist, and she told me in a past life that Max, I lost Max, and that in this life, he came with a soul contract to restore my faith. And it's not that I love any of you differently. It's just our souls are familiar, if that makes sense to you. Yes.
Yeah.
Your mother's birth year?
1957.
And the month?
January.
And the day?
31st.
Wow. Did your mother suffer a miscarriage?
Yes.
That's, and you see how your souls are connected, because like when your mother was pregnant with you, there is no doubt, like, you know, this is one thing I learned that I find so fascinating. When my great grandmother was pregnant with my grandmother, my mother was there, all of my sisters were there, all of my nieces were there, all of my nephews were there, my daughter was there, my granddaughter was there, because we come to this life and we already have all our eggs. So just so you know, it's really having this spiritual connection with your mother through the loss of a child. So that grip would have been even more, like, if that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
she's 9. Your mother shares the same energy as me.
Oh.
I mean, which is a good thing and maybe not so good. Who knows? But let me just see what was going on with your mother when she had you. And you created a balance. You became like an anchor for your mother's energy. Does that make sense to you?
No, honestly,
What
no.
what it means is there's no doubt in my mind that if you were to look at both of you, she would have a lot of issues with stability and
Okay,
you
yeah.
don't. So you would have been her anchor.
Okay, she was in a dark place when she was pregnant with me, so that makes sense.
Yeah, like you would have anchored her. So I mean, and as a result of that, like I have to be honest with you, I don't believe she was just in a dark space when she was pregnant with you. I think that she had a lot of emotional issues that she brought forward from her childhood.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and I'm not saying that it didn't have a huge impact on you, but just so you know, she was in a dark space before, you know, even before she considered having children.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure. Let me just see. 2016 would be a big year for you.
Yes.
Okay. 2007.
I'm not sure.
Okay. 1998.
I was pregnant, so that was kind of a big deal.
Okay. So who are you pregnant with?
My middle child,
And their name,
Logan,
birth year,
1999,
okay, and the month,
May
and the day.
18.
Wow. Okay, just 1 second. And so, no doubt with Logan, do you know what was going on with you when you were pregnant with your son?
What was going on with me?
Yes.
Like health wise or
It would be, it
emotional
almost
wise?
feels like there was some sort of loss around the time that you were pregnant with your son.
Oh, my grandfather died.
Just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you were like, I mean, here, and talk to me about the relationship you shared with your grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about the relationship you had with your grandfather.
My grandfather taught me a lot. He traveled quite a bit back and forth, but he would always come and stay at our place when he did come, park his motorhome in the driveway and stay. He was an avid reader and, yeah, just a a wonderful veteran. So
Yes, and just so you know, it's kind of a double whammy. It's like here you are pregnant, right? And then, but you're also the loss of your grandfather. So
mhm.
no doubt in my mind that Logan would, like his soul, his spirit would have felt that. You know what I mean? So often what happens when we're in a shift year, when we're pregnant, our children tend to need a little bit more balancing or a little bit more grounding, or they may feel like there's just something unsettled within them. And I mean, because when you think about it, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, from now till June, that's how long we're in the body of our mothers. And all I knew was that you had suffered some sort of loss. And so it's a complicated thing. Like there's this, like, how can you be celebrating the being pregnant when you're going through this emotional loss? So definitely that would have an impact on you. Your firstborn,
Jake,
birth year,
1995,
and the month,
June
and the day.
19.
And see, what's really interesting
Are
is
you gonna
like
say about the book?
Jake would have a bit of a wall, you know, like he definitely would have an insulation around him. And so all of your emotion would have gone to the second born. So just so you know, like if Logan, like, you know, if you look at him, like his soul definitely needs balancing. Like just because the fact that, you know, like this is how I sort of look at it. As children, there's two responses to our childhood. Either we absorb or we sort of like we will create an armor. And with your first son, there's no doubt that he didn't absorb anything. So it would have gone to Logan, like if that makes sense to you.
It does, yes.
Yeah, and so, you know, one thing I definitely would do, and Logan is an old soul, and no doubt he has shaman medicine.
Yep.
You're like, there's no doubt in my mind. And so there's a part of him that walks in two worlds. Like he's this old soul that has this old medicine and he has old memories. And then he also walks kind of in a world where it's almost like his logic and his spiritual, and so he's trying to sort that one out. But he is absolutely an old soul. 1989 would be another year for you.
Oops. Can you pop that calculator back up for me? I'm pretty sure my sister was born in 1989.
Okay.
Or was it 81? No, yeah, she was born in 81. I'm not sure.
Okay. And then 1980. So you would have been 6.
Yeah, my mom was pregnant with my sister.
Okay. And were you the firstborn?
Yes.
Yeah. That's quite a gap.
Yeah.
Like here you are, right? For 6 years, had all of the attention, or the attention of your mother, being an anchor for your mother. And then at 6 years old is the introduction to another child. And so no doubt in my mind, there's a soul fracture there for you. And so it would also help you to understand, like you went from having a fair, you know, like 6 years, that's a long time. And so your sister's birth year, do you know?
1980.
And her month?
June.
And her day?
23rd.
And see, what's really interesting is the mother, both you and your sister would have a past life connection with the mother, but your sister's relationship would be very different. And so, you know, it would be, it's just, let me see what was going on with the mother.
81. Yeah, my sister was born in 1981, Leslie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not 1980, 1981?
81, yeah.
Okay. And so, yeah. So she shares the same energy as you. So it would be like here you have a mother who is kind of unstable and has this, and she has two daughters that really didn't receive what they needed. And so as a result of that, it would almost like it would definitely challenge not only the relationship with your mother, but also the relationship with your sister. And that would follow you like most of your life. And so one thing that is really beautiful is you are right on the cusp of being at a place in your life where you get to renegotiate certain spiritual relationships. And it's where you get to unlock like your history, like if that makes sense to you. Yeah. And it's also a very empowered year for you this year. So it's where you would draw a line, and it's where you're trying to change something that, you know, and so what I suggest to people when they're in a 4-year is it's like you do the absolute opposite of what you normally do. For you in 2017, here a spiritual truth surfaces that you can no longer deny. And in 2017, as a result of this spiritual truth that would surface, then in the next year, which is 2018, that's where you would have literally had to pull inside to figure out what to do. And then in 2019, you would have planted a seed. And then in this year, you're trying to change. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And it's one of these things that for you, there's a part of you that doesn't quite know. There's definitely a fear of exposure a bit. And so, I mean, but you're doing it anyways, which is just really good.
Okay.
For you, like you understand that you have an armor.
Yes.
Okay. And so is your armor always up?
Mostly.
Okay. And so why do you think you have an armor? Like what is its purpose?
I don't know. I guess so I don't have to share my true feelings. Feeling vulnerable.
Don't you think it's
About being independent, trying, because I want to be independent, but
yeah. And see, what's really amazing is I believe that armor absolutely is in place to a response of being left alone with your emotions as a child.
yeah,
And so when your armor goes up, it's like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk about this. And what happens is you retreat with the armor. And most people, the problem with an armor is most people honor it. So they'll leave you alone. So is there anyone in your life that doesn't leave you alone when you pull away?
Yes, I have somebody now who's doing that.
Okay, and who is this?
This is Todd.
Todd? And Todd's birth year?
Tell me.
69.
1969.
And his month?
November.
And his day?
6.
Hi, how are you? See, you know what? He's so cute. I mean, like, honest to God, look at how cute he is.
I know he's cute.
And see, you want to know something? Here's the deal. I'm going to say something to you, okay? When you pull away, like with you love like nobody else.
Yeah.
And when you get upset, you pull inward, you pull all of your love inward, and it feels like you pull away your love. And I'm here to say to you, there's no doubt in my mind that Todd has had a female pull away. And so when you do that, it just creates an anxiety in him.
Okay.
So the next time, and trust me, I came armored, man. I was armored from the top of my crown right to the bottom. So the next time you feel you get upset, I want you to remember me, and I want you to say, no, I'm not going to pull away from this man because I know he loves me, and I know that I'm going to confront this. And so you just go to him and say, I just feel upset. I feel vulnerable. I mean, with Lloyd, he's the very first male in my life that I didn't activate my armor. And it was the scariest thing ever for me, ever. Like my best friend, who has loved me since I was 14 years old, went to Lloyd and said, you were the very, very first male that Lindsay has ever allowed to help her. Mm. And so I want you to remember, when you get upset and your hackles go up and you pull away from Todd, I want you to say, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Because I trust that you and Todd definitely have shared a past life. He's an old soul. And I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that he is there for you. And you want to know, even though it's hard for you to really be vulnerable and show him how you feel, do it anyways.
Okay.
Okay? Like you just love, like honestly, like I made the decision with Lloyd that there is no way in this world that I am going to allow my heartbreak from the past to interfere with my relationship with Lloyd. When did you meet Todd?
It was 2018, right?
See that?
March.
2000 March, and what day?
The 9th.
See that?
Hmm.
Married. Sorry, did I say that?
Okay, bless you.
I got this weird feeling. Like, I mean, honestly, he came to you in a 5-year.
In what?
He came to you in a 5-year, which means you sent a prayer, please, 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 please bring me somebody who is not going to leave me. Would you agree?
Well, I'm sure I said that, yes.
Yeah. And so all I know is that I just got this weird feeling that you guys are going to get, don't want to book the hall yet, but I think you're a pretty cute couple, no doubt in my mind. Let me just see. The other thing is that you understand you have a lot of internal anxiety.
Yes.
Like big time. Like it just surfaced. And for you, it goes from your head, your mind, to your heart, to your tummy.
Right.
And it just spins. Like, just so you know, like, I don't care if you're happy. Like, if you're happy, that's fabulous. But I'm more interested in what you do when you're triggered. And for you, if there's anything wrong with one of your kids or the unknown, like you just get all anxious and all like just it, and it's an internal energy. And no doubt in my mind that you know exactly where it goes. Where does it go?
Where does it go?
Where do you feel it?
Well, you're exactly right about head, heart stuff. So, yeah.
So when that's activated, because so far you activate your armor and then you activate your response to your emotions, okay? And I believe because you didn't have a place to express your emotions as a child, you would absorb your emotion and then it would create this pulsing inside of you. So I want you just to think, where do you feel it, love?
Where do I feel it? I don't know. I mean,
I can tell you.
Like,
right in your stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, it's just being able to know that that is old. That thing going on with your tummy when you get upset is it clicks in from the past life of when you had suffered a loss where you felt you had no control, because you know that you got issue with control. Yeah. And see, like, that's what I love about this year. As much as it's been scary and everything, we've learned that, you know what, at the end of the day, we've learned that we have no control. Like when our store went down and The government came in and we're shutting everything down. Lloyd and I had no control. There was nothing we could do.
Mhm.
The only thing we could do was to respond to it. So just so you know, I'm going to draw some cards for you. I just think, I just want you to do something beautiful for yourself. I want you to get like hot stone massage, like just something very beautiful that would nourish your spirit, because like you're a very sensitive person, and there's no doubt in my mind that there's a part of you that definitely has some resentment that's unresolved, and you just control it. You just keep it in a space and you don't go there. And one thing I definitely would do, like, were you married before?
I was in a relationship for a long time.
Okay. And this person is the father of your children?
Yes.
And let me say this to you. Empresses don't just lay down with anyone. And empresses just don't have children with just anybody. And typically, when empresses have children with someone, they don't plan on being divorced. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your ex's name?
Joseph.
Wow, isn't that interesting? He's got a J name. Birth year?
1971.
Month?
January.
Day?
6.
Wall? 100% wall, right? There was space in between you and your partner.
Yes.
Right? And I can tell you with Todd, there's no space. He's not going to have a space in the relationship with you.
That's very true.
There's no way in this world. And so, but the only thing is I want you just to remember that when you pull away, I just want you to remember me, like I really do, and just say, no, like I'm going to allow myself to heal from the history of my past, and I'm going to be vulnerable. Like I come from a place of recovery. Like we have been conditioned to believe that being vulnerable is a weakness, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a place where we're armored and cautious and angry and resentful, now that is absolutely robs us of joy. And I just think like what you did is you shed yourself from this person that kind of undermined your confidence, and it was like more of a power struggle. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just see. Okay, now I want to get your cards. And when did you separate, or when did you go separate ways?
2017.
2017. Oh, you know what? You were out in 2016.
Yeah.
Like, no
yeah,
doubt
you're
in my
right.
mind.
Yeah.
You were out way before then.
Yes.
Like, there is no way. Just so you know, I've got to say this to you, and I want you to tell your heart this, okay? It wasn't that you left. It was the fact that you couldn't stay.
That's right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good. So are you prepared to let yourself off the hook for leaving?
I'm still working on that.
Okay, ready? Right hand up.
Okay.
Okay. I,
In the
year
year
2020,
2020,
am prepared to forgive myself
to forgive myself
for being beautifully
from being beautifully
flawed. Good for you. Good for you. Like, honestly, I'm here to say that when we come from a wounded history where we don't receive the love we want, typically the first person that we bring to our life doesn't give us that. Just doesn't. How could they? And so then we have to shed ourselves of that. And that's when you say, oh my God, please send me a teddy bear. Somebody who, like, there's no doubt in my mind. And I'm not saying Todd's perfect, because I'm like, there's not anyone on the planet that's perfect. But I guarantee you that like you just envelop yourself. Like there is no way in this world that my exes were going to be in my relationship with Lloyd, because I know that when he came into my life, I waited for him. I waited for him until I was 50 years old. We've been together now we're going into our 9th year, and I had to be brave. So, you know, one thing for sure, it's like, it's really being able to kind of let go. And with you, it's like you have to literally release yourself from this spiritual connection that you shared with your ex. Because for you, like I'm just telling you, like you just don't have relationship with anybody. And so it's just being able to release yourself from it. And because I guarantee, like, you're coming right into a 5-year, and it's like, it's a choice. Ready for this? Can I do this? Yes, I'm going to. Ready? Right hand up. Ready?
Yeah.
Fuck
Fuck
it.
it.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Yeah. It's like, fuck it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to worry anymore. I'm not going to fuss anymore. I'm not going to put up my armor anymore, because it's exhausting. Yeah. It is exhausting. And so it's like, fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore. Do you know, that is my mantra for 2020. And I believe it so much, I made candles for our store. And so it's where you just say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to have a trusting heart. I want to open up my heart, and I want to receive fully without any caution. No doubt in my mind. Ask Todd, how am I doing? Ask him.
How am I doing?
Good. Here, I'm going to give you a card. Hang on.
Okay.
Oh, just a second. All right. See this? Your goddess.
Ooh.
See her? Isn't she beautiful?
Yeah.
She really is. Like, for her, it's just being, you know, respected and honored. She knows who she is. She knows her value. She's quite capable. She's very proud. And so it's really being able to appreciate just the beauty that you bring. Like, you're a power woman, like, no doubt in my mind. And I mean, in a past life, there's no doubt in my mind that you were not treated in this way, that you were disregarded, that you were not appreciated, that you were not, you know, just noticed. And so in this lifetime, there's a part of you that is very sensitive to any type of dismissal. You're sensitive to any type of rejection. You're just sensitive to all of that, because it makes you feel invisible, because I guarantee in a past life you felt invisible. So you're very guarded and protected of that energy. Just one sec. For you, you're a student. So no doubt in a past life, like, you had a curiosity and you brought that forward in this life. So you're always learning something, like whether it's, you know, you're always wanting to learn, like you have this deep spiritual kind of curiosity, and that you're very, like, you have this old energy inside of you. So you're very knowledgeable and very wise. And that knowledge is quite old, actually. In a past life, I guarantee you were outcast. So you would have felt like thrown away. And so you're sensitive to that in this lifetime, whether, you know, it's just where you feel like people have just thrown you away or abandoned you or left you. Like, look at that card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shaman. Do you read cards?
Yes.
Yeah, you'd be great at it. You would be really great. What deck do you work with?
Well, I just picked up the one at 9 Vibration, the small one. You recommended it.
Yeah.
I don't know the name right now, but
yeah, you'd be so good at that. And I mean, like, it would just, and for you, I guarantee the clients that would come to see you are all about getting rid of their armor, getting rid of their anger, getting rid of their disappointment, letting themselves off the hook. And I mean, that's what I love so much about this work. That's what I love is, you know, like I never set out to do this work. I never in a million years. It was, I was struggling. And so people that come to see me, there is not one person that has not come to see me that is not a spiritual shaman, that has been contracted in a past life, despite their injuries, despite their wounds, despite their challenges, that they draw from that in order to be of service of other people. And there are so many people out there that are guarded and wounded and heartbroken and cautious. And so, yeah, like it just like, I mean, you need to be so good at it. Here lets me know in a past life you had like no power. And so it, like, if you feel like you don't have power, don't have any control, then in a past, you know, it would just terrify you. And so, you know, it's like really being able to appreciate how sensitive you are. So when you have a feeling that you're losing control, that is one of the things that triggers you inside. Like, does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And you want to know something? I'm not big on control. Like at one time, like for me, and this is all a response to when I didn't have any power as a child. For me, this pen could not go here. It had to go here, not here, not here, not here. And just right there. And it was like a ritual to try and keep me safe. And then something happened that let me know I have no power, none, no control. And so no doubt for you, that is really a big thing for sure. Hang on one sec. This lets me know that in a past life that you had a fracturing and that you left a piece of yourself behind. And so as a result of that, what I believe is trauma, especially when we're old souls, when we suffer a trauma, a bit of our soul kind of breaks off and takes the trauma with it. And then it goes into a non-reality state, and we know it's there, but for whatever reason, we just armor ourselves from it, or we just work through the files and we just leave it there. And there's no doubt in my mind that in 2017, that all of that emotional stuff would have come to you, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's your last card. See this card? This lets me know that you have armor, that in a past life, that you were an outcast and that you were in a place of scarcity and that you didn't receive. And that's why in this lifetime, for you to be able to receive love without fear, without judgment, without condition, without any of that, I mean, it's then you help restore the karma you brought forward from a past life, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I want you to do, and you're going to love it, is I want you just to receive. You know, you drew a guy to you wants to spoil you. What does that feel like?
It feels wonderful, and
Yeah.
it's hard to accept that actually, but I'm
Okay.
working.
You ready? Right hand up.
I'm ready.
I
I
am
am
open
open
to receive
to receive
fully
because
I am deserving.
I am deserving.
Good for you. Good for you. And see, this is what's really interesting, that anxiety that goes on inside of you, that is part of your response to not receiving what you needed as a child. And I mean, this is one thing that I've learned just through my own recovery, is what I didn't receive from my childhood. It made me a better parent. It made me a better friend. It made me a better lover. It made me a better sister. It made me a better human being.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, one thing I definitely would do if I were you, especially because when you come from a past life where you were thrown away, where you were invisible, where you did not receive, where you lived in almost a place of scarcity, how could you know how to receive in this lifetime? How
Exactly.
could you?
Yeah.
You know, you'd already come in guarded. So one thing, and you're going to love this, eh? One thing I'd do if I were you is I would beckon your armor, just beckon it and say, you know what? You're going to sit right here and we're having a conversation because I'm getting rid of this armor. I don't need it anymore. Because when you have armor on your spiritual body, then you believe in your heart you have to protect yourself from something.
Yeah. Even though you don't know what it is, really.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and that's what I love so much about past life injury, because like, you know, when I was going through all of my recovery, like I would just say, like, I know that there's injury underneath this. I know there is. And so that's where I went underneath. And so think about it. Like, I'm going to show you the cards you picked. Like, look at these two cards. Like, these two cards for you, huge. That's why you were outcast. So you put up an armor. And no doubt, it's quite possible that you may even have starved to death. And so then you armor yourself. And so and so even before you were conceived, you were armored. And the really beautiful thing is you're in a 4-year, this year, which means in the year 2021, which is a 5-year for you, you are going to make peace with all of it. It's like, that's one thing that I've learned. Like, can I trust you? Absolutely. Absolutely. Why? Because I know who I am. You and I both know who we are, don't we? I know what I need. I know the kind of relationships I want. I know the kind of friendships I want. I know the way I want to be treated. I know what I want to do with my life. I want to be missed when I'm gone. And so for that reason, I can trust you 100% because I know who you are. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Did you like your reading?
I absolutely loved my reading. I've had a lump in my throat the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm extremely emotional, and I just, I'm so thankful.
And you want to know something? Like, this is what we need to do more for those people that have come to this life wounded, is, you know, get some beautiful oil and just allow yourself to receive. You know, you have a partner that is there. Like, there is no doubt you called for him to show up, and he showed up. And this is what's very cool, is like, he's not going to put up with your stuff. He's not going to. And there's no doubt in my mind.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you can't say the same stuff to him, because there's no doubt in my mind your soul is going to stop you. So it's like just receiving, like just allowing yourself to receive, both of you. You know, like at some point, maybe Todd would want a reading, just because there's no doubt in my mind that when you pull away, I guarantee that there's been females that have left him. So it just creates this panic in him. And, you know, it's like, I know myself that you just don't want to do that. It's like, I'd rather deal with my own stuff than put you in a panic state. Yeah. So, I mean, which is really lovely. But yeah, so you got some homework to do. I want you to talk to your armor. I want you literally, one thing definitely, it's when you feel it go up, I want you to go, wow, like my armor's activated. Something's triggered me. Like, what has triggered me? And it's being able to, you know, communicate more. And it's where you just say, I feel. And, you know, and that's the thing about people that have been wounded in a past life and have pulled their emotion inside of their body. In this lifetime, your emotion just feels like exposure. And trust me, the more you do it, the more you'll be comfortable with it. Because that's one thing that I learned, that I withheld my emotion, but now I just don't. So yeah.
Gets easier.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's just amazing. So keep doing your readings, and you're just going to, and that's what sort of fills us is doing something we love, and and definitely kind of healing, because most people that will come to you, I guarantee, have trust issues, have intimacy issues, have, an armor, definitely, and that's who will be drawn to your work.
Okay. Well, that's okay with me. I probably could help them.
Oh,
Right.
we
Yeah.
are our very first client. We are our very first
Yeah.
client. We are like true spiritual leaders, and you are one, because you had, like, look at this card. Like this, the only reason that you are this, the only reason is because you came from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Spiritual leaders, don't have this life that is, they don't have a life that is easy. They don't.
No.
And so, but the really wild thing is, I just did a reading for a lady, and I'm telling you, just doing these readings for our YouTube channel, which I'm just so grateful for. But it's so neat because after the reading, she went out and danced in the field to liberate herself from being oppressed in a past life.
Okay.
And there is no doubt in my mind, there's a part of your soul that is afraid to receive love. And I'm just saying, do it anyway.
I think it's about not having to take responsibility then for all of those emotions. You can understand then you're able to leave them behind, as opposed to holding on and trying to figure out what they are now.
Well, it's like, this is one thing I've learned is I don't question nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Zero.
Okay.
Zero. I mean, I was in a car accident, December 28, 2017. After that, because honestly, I do not know how I walked away from that accident. Now I don't question nothing. Zero, nothing, zero, nothing. So, and that's why I say to people, you are exactly where you're meant to be. And I must say this to you, empresses tend to suffer a long time. And empresses often will not leave a relationship. They will stay because they don't want to disappoint their children. They don't want to do any of those things. And there is no glory in sacrifice, none. And that's what I love so much about the fact that you got this card. This is a state of sacrifice. And by you saying, no, this isn't enough for me. I'm not going to settle. I mean, that absolutely took so much courage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you very much for the reading, and say thank you to Todd for loving a beautiful empress that gives so much of herself, and thank you.
Thank you.
Take good care.
Oh, here he is. Thank you.
Look at how sweet, honest to God, look at how sweet he is. I just think it's so great, eh? Like, how sweet is that? Oh my God, it almost makes me cry. And that's what you needed. That's what you were looking for. That's what your soul has always looked for, always.
Yeah. I hear that.
Yeah, and next year I think you're gonna get married. Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Oh, you're
no
darling.
Pressure. But anyways,
okay.
take
Well,
good care.
We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Have
much.
a day, and thanks for connecting.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you,
Yeah,
Lloyd.
Bye, love.
Okay, bye.
Bye.